What if tomorrow you were told you could never speak your native language again? Seriously, just imagine waking up, getting ready for your day, and suddenly discovering that the very words you used to think, to dream, and to talk with your family have been completely outlawed by an occupying force.
Well, that is the exact devastating premise of Alphonse Daudet's renowned short story, The Last Lesson. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking what is genuinely a masterclass in emotional storytelling. Whether you're diving into this as the foundational Chapter 1 of the NCERT Class 12 English curriculum, or you're just a huge fan of classic literature, we're going to see exactly how a single classroom becomes the ultimate battleground for cultural survival.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll quickly unpack the history, the plot, character transformations, symbols, and finally, the core themes.
Section 1, the historical catalyst. We've got to start by grounding this deeply emotional story in its real-world geopolitical stakes. So, tracing the events, we are situated right at the tail end of the Franco-Prussian War, spanning 1870 to 1871. France has just been decisively defeated by Prussia. But the true heartbreak for our characters comes in that final step, an unyielding order straight from Berlin demanding that only German be taught in the schools of the newly annexed French districts. This sweeping war resulted in a devastating decree that would completely upend a small village forever.
If we consider the physical geography for a second, we've got the Alsace and Lorraine regions sitting literally right on the border between France and the expanding German Empire. This geography explains exactly why it was annexed by Prussia in the first place. You see, the occupiers didn't just want the physical land, they wanted to totally erase the French identity of the people living there, and they're starting right at the source with their mother tongue.
Section 2. A morning like no other. Let's move to the plot and see how this historical catalyst crashes into the life of an ordinary young schoolboy named Franz.
We follow Franz's morning as it unfolds, step by step. First off, he's dreading school and actively dodging his French grammar rules. On his way, he spots an anxious crowd gathered around the town hall bulletin board, which is, always a source of bad news. But the real shock comes when he actually arrives at school. Expecting the usual chaotic, bustling noise, he's instead met with an eerie, Sunday-like silence. And finally, his teacher, Hamel, makes an incredibly shocking announcement.
Hamel stands before his unusually quiet class and delivers these devastating words. They hit Franz like an absolute thunderclap. In just one instant, this shifts the entire narrative from a normal, tedious school day right into a tragic, permanent farewell.
Section 3. Analyzing Franz and Hamel. Now let's analyze how this shocking news radically transforms our two main characters.
Let's look at Franz first. Initially, he's totally careless and unmotivated. His boyish indifference is basically just, I've plenty of time. But the very moment he realizes French is being permanently taken away, he transforms into Franz the Patriot. His books, which honestly felt like heavy, annoying burdens just moments ago, suddenly become old friends just cannot bear to lose. He is completely overwhelmed with remorse.
And we see a perfectly mirrored transformation in his teacher. Hamel completely sheds his strict disciplinarian exterior. Usually, he's notoriously cranky, always tapping his dreaded iron ruler against the desk. But on this final day, the strict enforcer becomes a vulnerable, highly emotional vessel for French national identity. He's passionate, he's grieving, and he actually blames himself for sometimes giving the kids a holiday when he just wanted to go fishing instead of teaching them.
This dynamic shift between the student and the teacher really becomes the moral center of the story. Both of them realize their shared guilt in neglecting their education. It's this beautiful, poignant moment of collective realization, a teacher thoughtfully engaging with his student, no longer as an enforcer of rules, but as a fellow mourner of their shared culture.
Section 4. Symbols of the classroom. Let's see how this emotional shift is reflected in the physical objects surrounding them.
Every single item in the room is suddenly heavy with meaning. Hamel is wearing his beautiful green coat and his embroidered black silk cap. These are extravagant clothes he only wears for inspection or prize days, right? It shows his immense pride for this final lesson. Then there's the bulletin board in town, representing the total loss of autonomy and the delivery of the occupiers' decrees. We also have the villagers, representing collective guilt, and the blackboard, which totally transforms from a simple teaching aid into a powerful tool for resistance.
Notice the presence of the village elders at the back of the room, like old Hauser. He's brought an old thumbed primer, just a basic alphabet book, and sits there with his spectacles on. Having these full-grown adults sitting on school benches perfectly symbolizes the community's collective remorse for basically taking their freedom and their language for granted all these years. They are there to thank the master, but also, fundamentally, to mourn.
Section 5. Themes of linguistic identity. This brings us to the macro-level themes of the story, zooming out from the confines of this small classroom.
Let's define the core concept here. We see that language isn't merely about basic communication. It's the very soul of the people of Alsace that is being forcefully assimilated. It's the living expression of their history and their freedom. By forcing them to speak German, the Prussians aren't just changing a curriculum, they are attempting an aggressive cultural erasure.
Hamel summarizes this beautifully. He tells the class, when a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. This brilliantly illustrates the story's most crucial thesis about cultural resilience under occupation. Your language is your ultimate defense against assimilation. It's the one thing an occupier simply cannot take from your mind.
But, the story also serves as a poignant warning about the human tendency to just be complacent. Hamel points out the fatal flaw of the village, always saying, "Bah, I have plenty of time, I'll learn it tomorrow." This shows the really tragic consequences of putting off our duties until it is quite literally too late. A stark reminder to never ever take our privileges for granted.
And then the inevitable arrives. As the clock strikes 12, the Angelus rings. Simultaneously, the blaring sound of Prussian trumpets echoes right under the school windows. The tension completely peaks. This auditory intrusion signals the absolute, undeniable end of French autonomy. Time is officially up.
Overcome with emotion, so choked up that he literally cannot speak a single word, Hamel turns to the blackboard. He takes a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his might, he writes these final, defiant words as large as he possibly can, "Vive la France," long live France. And with a simple, quiet gesture of his hand, he dismisses the class.
It is a breathtaking ending to an incredibly impactful story. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ensure the emotional weight of Daudet's narrative really lingers with you. If your language, your heritage, and your freedom were slipping away tomorrow, what words would you write on the blackboard today? Thank you so much for joining me. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.